Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Chris91, and I am back with another video. Now, this has just came down the news wire late last night, but Paul George just informed the Indiana Pacers that at the end of the NBA season next year, he is going to explore his options as a free agent. Now, basically what Paul George did was pretty much a good look for the Indiana Pacers as well as for himself. He doesn't trap the organization or keep them in limbo land whether or not they are going to be able to re-sign Paul George, and maybe they should break the bank and try to add other pieces that may attract Paul George to stay with the Indiana Pacers. Now the Indiana Pacers know the outcome of that situation, and now they need to move on to the next phase of their plan. Now, basically, they're going to pretty much trade Paul George to a team that Paul George wants to go to. Now, the two teams in question is the Cleveland Cavaliers and the LA Lakers, okay? Now, let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers have been talking to the Indiana Pacers about possibly trading Paul George to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, there are two names that seem to come out of this, deal that the Indiana Pacers are technically saying, well, we're interested with one player, and with the other player, you're going to have to make that pot a little bit more sweeter. And the two players that I'm mentioning are Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. Let's talk about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, a trade for Kyrie Irving and Paul George, that's a decent trade. Kyrie Irving goes to the Indiana Pacers. Paul George go to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Cleveland Cavaliers basically have Paul George as a one-year rental, thinking in the back of their mind that they're going to re-sign him at the end of the NBA season, similar to what they did with Kevin Love. They basically had Kevin Love for just 1 year, and then after the end of that season, they signed Kevin Love to a long-term extension, and that's the thought process of Dan Gilbert. But if you do that deal, if you just do that deal straight up, just like that, you're still going to have a huge issue and a huge problem when you face the Golden State Warriors, okay? Now you have two players that could pretty much guard Kevin Durant slightly when you're talking about LeBron James and Paul George, and then those same two players can swap on Klay Thompson, but then you really don't have anyone that can D-up Steph Curry or make Steph Curry work on the defensive side of the ball, okay? So the perfect scenario for the Cleveland Cavaliers is to keep Kyrie Irving, add Paul George, as well as LeBron James, and just get rid of Kevin Love. But is Kevin Love an attractive piece to the Indiana Pacers? I really don't think so, okay? Now, this is just my suggestion, but I think they should package a couple of draft picks, which a few of these draft picks are not going to pan out, by the way, and Christian Thompson, okay? Now, that's a decent trade for Paul George. You're going to lose him anyway, so you might as well get something from him than nothing, okay? I think that's an attractive piece to the Indiana Pacers. Christian Thompson is younger, and the Indiana Pacers will have him on the books for a couple of years to ultimately, they may want to make a decision whether or not to keep Christian Thompson's services or trade him for something else later on down the road. That is a possibility. Now, you heard this here first from your boy, okay? Now, let's look at the LA Lakers situation. The LA Lakers have a lot of attractive pieces and a lot of attractive draft picks for the Indiana Pacers. And I feel like the Indiana Pacers will want to do a trade with the Lakers because they're going to probably get some better pieces and better picks than what the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to offer them. The Cleveland Cavaliers can't offer them really nothing that you can deem attractive. So as far as the Lakers side of things, I think that's a good look and a good fit for the Lakers side as well as Paul George. But do Paul George really want to sign to the Lakers? And then the Lakers basically going to have to give up half of the stuff that Paul George is interested or attractive to, because basically he says he wants to sign to the Lakers at the end of his contract. Okay, so I think if you really look at this, being real about it, I think Paul George wouldn't mind playing for the Lakers, but if Paul George wants to contend for titles right now in the next couple of years, then the logical choice is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out if the talks get real serious and real strong, but it is what it is. We're going to have to wait and see if this is what really Paul George wants. Ultimately, it's up to Paul George to decide which team he wants to trade to. Now, if he says flat out, I want to trade to the Cleveland Cavaliers, then the Indiana Pacers are just going to basically have to get the kibbles and bits, sort of say, of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Maybe a Christian Thompson, maybe a Kevin Love, and maybe a few draft picks. Maybe that's strong enough for the Pacers, and the Pacers mindset, well, hey, if we can't get what we really want, then let's make sure that the Cleveland Cavaliers are not this quote-unquote super team. They can have Paul George, but we're going to take something away from you guys. And maybe the Indiana Pacers might be looking at it from this aspect. Well, we don't want to be stuck with Kevin Love, and with Christian Thompson, he's a little bit younger, and maybe we can really do something with Christian Thompson and fit players that fit players around the system, and having Christian Thompson implemented in that system is a good look for the Indiana Pacers. So I'm throwing out the name Christian Thompson. To me personally, the Cleveland Cavaliers shouldn't re-sign him to that ridiculous contract. That was something that LeBron James wanted right then and there, because at that particular time, that was LeBron James' boy. He also wanted the Cleveland Cavaliers to re-sign J.R. Smith. Now they're stuck with J.R. Smith. Iman Shumpert, they're stuck with him, Shumpert. Both of these players are getting worse. They're not getting better. Okay, Christian Thompson, he's younger than the two that I mentioned, and the jury's still out on his development. Maybe he will develop into this big man that they were admiring and hoping that he could be. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Me personally, if I was the Pacers, I would just get Christian Thompson, a few draft picks. At least you got something for nothing for Paul George, and let Paul George go to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and let Dan Gilbert and the Cleveland Cavaliers organization, including David Griffin, have the headache of, at the end of next year's season, is LeBron James going to re-sign with us if we don't win the title, if we don't win the chip? And is Paul George going to stay with the Cleveland Cavaliers? There's a possibility where the Cleveland Cavaliers will not only lose out on LeBron James, but Paul George. But you give that headache to the Cleveland Cavaliers, let them worry about it. At least you have Christian Thompson for the next 3 to 4 years, okay? But guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. Please, notification gang in the building. Hit that notification bell, that notification icon. It will let you know when my next live stream or video is going down. It's your boy. I'm Christodon1, and I am here.